And it's time to look at integrations. And we know that you have a lot of different tools that you use, different security tools, and you might consolidate them in other products. And we want to make sure that Detectify fits into your desired workflow. And we have a powerful API for that, and we have powerful customizable integrations today. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So from the integrations page, we have a few options for you to get started. You can either create a custom connector and a custom recipe, or you can start by one of our templates. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what a recipe is and what a connection is in these integrations. But it's good to start from a template, always good. It's easy to get going and you get to learn a little bit about it, and then you can customize that recipe to your desire later on. Today, I'm going to do a simple integration, sending any new vulnerabilities we find directly to Slack. For that, we have a few different options for Slack, but here we have new vulnerabilities in Slack. And we can pick that by clicking View Recipe, and then you'll get a preview of the recipe and you get to use this recipe. Here we just put it in Detectify folder and we go. And now we have the ability to customize this particular recipe. But the first step we need to ensure is that we have our connections set up. And for this recipe, we need two connections. First, we need a connection to our Detectify API so that we can get information from about the vulnerabilities. That's the trigger in this recipe. And the connection is already set up here, but if we want to create another one, we can do that here, and it's just using the public API for that. So you just create an API key for it that you want to use for integrations, and you put that here, and you're ready to go. But here in this step, we can also customize things like which vulnerabilities should be sent, maybe only new ones, or do we want to go back in time and push all vulnerabilities that we found, which can be especially useful for a task management platform like Jira or ServiceNow. But you can also choose severities. If you only want to highlight high and critical, for example, in Slack, you can do that. There's a lot of options for customization. And in this case, we have just one action, but you can really build out a flow that fits your needs with different if statements. I can show you a little bit here. You can add a step here where you can have different actions to other platforms or apps. You can create a function, you can create if statements, and really create this to fit your workflows. And here it's warning us here in the Slack step or the action to post a message. So we can click that and see what's going on. I've already set up a connection to Slack here, but you can easily set up a new one using the connections here. And it's telling us here that we need to select a channel. So if I go to select from list, it will actually populate that with a list of channels from your Slack application. So here we want to have, we use maybe general, and that's that's then the channel that we will be posting to. But you can then also customize the message that is posted to Slack by selecting whatever information you want to have in that message. But there's a lot of configuration and there's a lot of documentation that you can find on our knowledge base, but you can also look at Workato and the documentation that can be found there. We're using Workato as our integration provider. So there's a lot of documentation that can be found there. And we're also happy to help you. Just reach out in the support. What I want to mention before moving on is our API a little bit more. So I'm going to navigate to where you set up those API keys. And so you can create as many API keys as you want, and all customers have full access to the API because we want you to be able to customize and get Detectify to fit into your workflows. You can navigate to developer.detectify.com to find the documentation and all the different endpoints that you can use. And our goal is to have every action and every data point that's available in the UI to be available in the API. We're also developing a completely new API that scales better for larger attack surfaces, where we focused on the data that's available on the attack surface insights, so on the information about ports, IPs, and technologies that you can get access to. It's in the knowledge base, and you can reach out to support or CSM to get an API key for that.